In the vastness of space, a group of aliens known as the Vorthons drifted through the darkness. They were explorers, always seeking knowledge about the universe. For centuries, they traveled far and wide, visiting strange planets and studying forgotten civilizations. But nothing could prepare them for what they were about to find. One quiet day, the Vorthons received a faint signal. It was unlike anything they had encountered before. The signal flickered in and out, a rhythmic pulse echoing through their starship, the Stellar Seeker. The captain, a wise and curious being named Zarin, turned to his crew. "What do you make of it?" he asked, his eyes sparkling with excitement. A young alien engineer, Yara, worked quickly at her console. "It's coming from the Nebula of Lost Souls," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "No one has entered that area for thousands of years. Many believe it is haunted." Zarin raised an eyebrow. "Haunted or not, we must investigate." "Prepare for course adjustments!" The crew members exchanged glances, their hearts racing with anticipation. They had heard the legends about the Nebula of Lost Souls, tales of ships that had vanished without a trace. Yet the lure of discovery was too strong to resist. As the Stellar Seeker approached the nebula, colors swirled around them, deep blues, bright purples, and shimmering golds. It was a sight to behold, both beautiful and eerie. The ship's sensors began to beep, indicating that they were getting closer to the source of the signal. Suddenly, Yara's eyes widened. "Captain, I'm detecting something massive ahead." Zarin's heart raced. "On screen!" The main display lit up, revealing a massive fleet of ancient ships hidden within the nebula. They were enormous, their structures covered in dust and debris. The sight was breathtaking. "What are those?" Zarin whispered, barely able to contain his excitement. Yara leaned closer to her console. "These ships belong to humans. They are from a civilization that vanished over 500,000 years ago. It's incredible. They have been hiding here all this time." The crew was filled with wonder. The humans had once been a powerful species, known for their intelligence and bravery. But how had they ended up in such a forgotten corner of the galaxy? Zarin felt a mix of awe and respect. "We must explore them. Prepare the landing pods!" The crew quickly gathered their gear, excitement buzzing in the air. They suited up and entered the landing pods, ready for the adventure ahead. As they descended toward the fleet, the ships loomed larger, their shapes becoming clearer. Each vessel had unique designs, some sleek and sharp, others broad and sturdy. It was clear that humans had been skilled builders. The landing pods touched down with a soft thud. Zarin led his team out onto the first ship, stepping onto the cold metal surface. The air felt stale and thick with dust. Yara activated her scanners, trying to gather information. "It's amazing," she said, looking around. "These ships are still intact. They could be operational!" The team moved cautiously through the darkened corridors, illuminated only by their flashlights. Every corner held the weight of history. They found old control panels, some flickering with long-dead lights. Zarin couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking in the footsteps of giants. As they explored, they stumbled upon a room filled with strange objects, tools, weapons, and devices that seemed foreign yet familiar. The walls were covered with symbols and writings that told stories of courage, loss, and the struggles of humanity. Zarin felt a deep connection to the stories etched into the metal. "These humans were brave," he said softly. "They fought for their survival." Suddenly, Yara interrupted his thoughts. "Captain, I'm picking up an emergency signal. It's an ancient distress call. It's still active." Her voice trembled with excitement. The crew looked at each other in shock. This was not just a discovery, it was a message from the past. Zarin knew that this was just the beginning. They had uncovered a hidden chapter of history, one that would change everything. What secrets lay within these ancient ships? And what did it mean for the future? The Vorthons were about to find out. The Vorthon crew stood in awe as they explored the vast human fleet. The ships were scattered across the hangar bay, each one telling a story of its own. The dull lights of the bay flickered, casting shadows that danced along the walls. Captain Zarin felt a mix of excitement and responsibility. They had discovered something remarkable, and it was up to them to learn from it. "Look at this," Yara exclaimed, pointing to a large ship at the far end of the bay. It was unlike the others, with smooth lines and a shining surface. "This one looks like it's in the best condition." "We should check it out!" Zarin nodded, his curiosity piqued. "Let's move carefully. We don't know what could happen if we activate these ships." The crew made their way toward the sleek vessel, the air thick with dust and mystery. As they approached, Zarin felt a strange connection to the ship, as if it was calling out to him. Inside, the ship's interior was dark but not entirely lifeless. Some panels glowed faintly and a low hum filled the air. Yara activated her scanning device again. "I'm picking up energy readings. This ship still has power!" Zarin's heart raced. "Can we wake it up?" he asked, his voice filled with hope. Yara looked at the control panel, her fingers dancing across the buttons. "I think so, but it will take some time. We need to be careful." The rest of the crew gathered around, watching intently as Yara worked. As she entered commands, the ship began to respond. Lights flickered on, and a low rumble echoed through the corridors. Suddenly, a holographic display emerged in front of them. It showed images of Earth, once a vibrant blue planet now lost to time. The crew gasped as they saw scenes of humans living, working, and fighting together. Zarin stepped closer, his eyes wide with amazement. "They had such a rich history," he said softly. "What happened to them?" Yara glanced at him. "We will find out. The ship might have more answers." With a final press of a button, the ship's systems came online, and a voice filled the air. "Welcome aboard, Commander." The crew exchanged glances, startled. "What is happening?" one of them whispered. "I think the ship is recognizing us," Yara replied, her voice trembling with excitement. "Commander, please state your command," the ship's voice continued, calm and clear. Zarin took a deep breath. "We are not your enemies. We are explorers from the planet Vortha. We come in peace." The ship paused before replying. "Peace is a rare request. How may I assist you?" The crew listened closely, stunned by the interaction. This was unlike anything they had ever experienced. Zarin felt a wave of responsibility wash over him. "We wish to learn about humanity. What happened to your people? Why are you here?" "The humans faced great trials," the ship responded. "We fought against powerful foes and many perished in the struggle. To protect what remained, we hid ourselves away. We believed we could return when it was safe, but time passed and we were forgotten." The crew absorbed this information, their hearts heavy with understanding. "You are not forgotten anymore," Zarin said firmly. "We have found you, and we want to help. We can bring your story back to the stars." A silence fell over the crew as they processed this revelation. The ship continued. "To return, we need to activate the fleet. Many ships lie dormant, and their crews need to be awakened. Will you assist us?" Zarin nodded, a spark of determination igniting within him. "Yes, we will help you. Together we can rise again." Yara beamed with excitement. "We'll work together to bring your fleet back to life." The crew rallied, filled with energy and purpose. They had not only discovered the hidden fleet, but had also forged a bond with the ancient ships and their crews. As they prepared to awaken more vessels, Zarin felt a sense of hope. They were on the brink of an incredible journey, one that could change the fate of both the Vorthons and the humans. The hidden fleet was about to rise again, and with it, the stories of humanity would live on. The excitement on the Stellar Seeker was electric. Captain Zarin and his crew stood in the control room, surrounded by glowing screens that displayed images of the ancient human fleet. They had made a promise to the sleeping ships. They would help awaken them. Today was the day they would bring the giants back to life. "Are we ready?" Zarin asked, looking around at his crew. They all nodded, eyes filled with determination. Yara was already working at her console, fingers flying over the controls. "I'm initiating the awakening sequence for the first ship," she declared. The crew gathered close, their hearts racing with anticipation. The main screen showed the sleek human ship they had just awakened. It stood still, its metal surface gleaming like a dormant dragon waiting for its master. "Activating now!" Yara announced, pressing a final button. Suddenly, alarms began to sound and the lights flickered. The crew gasped, and Zarin's heart raced. "Is something wrong?" he asked, concern flooding his voice. "No, Captain! It's just the ship's systems coming online," Yara replied. The ship shuddered, and then the voice of the human commander echoed through the room. "What is happening? Who has awakened us?" Zarin took a deep breath, stepping forward. "We are explorers from the planet Vortha. We found your fleet and wish to help you. You have been asleep for many years, but we are here now." The human commander paused, as if processing the information. "Vortha, we have heard of you, a peaceful planet among the stars. But how did you find us?" "We followed a signal," Zarin explained, "a distress call from your ships. We want to understand your history and assist you in returning to the galaxy." There was a moment of silence, and then the commander spoke again. "If you truly wish to help, you must awaken the rest of the fleet. We are stronger together." Zarin nodded, filled with resolve. "We will do just that." As Yara continued the awakening sequence, the crew felt a sense of unity. They were working together, not just with each other, but with the humans of the past. "Let's get to work," Zarin shouted, his voice full of energy. "We have a lot of ships to awaken." One by one, they initiated the awakening process for each ship. Each time, alarms would blare, lights would flash, and the human commanders would awaken, confused but curious about their new allies. Some ships were old and creaky, while others were sleek and modern. Each had a unique design and story to tell. As more ships awoke, the control room was filled with voices from the past. Each human commander shared tales of their struggles and victories. Zarin and his crew listened, fascinated by the stories of bravery and sacrifice. They learned about ancient battles fought against powerful enemies and the hard choices humans had made to protect their world. Hours passed, and the crew grew tired but exhilarated. Finally, they had awakened nearly the entire fleet. The last ship came online, and the voice of a strong female commander filled the room. "I am Commander Lyra. Thank you for bringing us back. We owe you our gratitude." Zarin smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. "It is an honor to help. Together we can reclaim our place in the stars." Lyra's voice softened. "The galaxy has changed since we fell asleep. We will need your guidance. Will you stand with us?" "Absolutely," Zarin replied without hesitation. "We are ready to fight alongside you. Together we will show the galaxy that humans are not forgotten." The crew cheered, their voices echoing in the control room. They felt a bond forming, not just between Vorthons and humans, but between all who fought for freedom. They were united by a common purpose, to reclaim their place in the universe and to protect their home. As they prepared for the journey ahead, Zarin felt a mix of excitement and fear. They were waking giants, and together they would face whatever challenges awaited them in the vast expanse of space. The stars were calling, and this was just the beginning of their adventure. The Stellar Seeker buzzed with energy as the crew prepared for their first joint mission with the awakened human fleet. Captain Zarin stood at the command center, reviewing the maps of the nearby systems. They had learned that an enemy faction, known as the Draconis, was still active in the galaxy. Rumors suggested that they were expanding their territory, and it was time for the humans and Vorthons to stand together. "Captain, we have reports from several of the human commanders," Yara said, her voice tense. "They are worried about the Draconis. They believe they are planning an attack soon." Zarin nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. "We need to ensure our defenses are ready. Call a meeting with all the ship commanders." As Yara relayed the orders, Zarin took a deep breath. He knew the importance of this meeting. They had to unite their forces against the threat. The crew gathered in the main briefing room, and Zarin looked around at the faces of both Vorthons and humans. There was a mix of excitement and fear in the air. Each person understood the risks ahead. "Thank you for coming," Zarin began, his voice steady. "We face a common enemy. The Draconis will not sit idle while we regroup. We need to share our plans and prepare for any attack." Commander Lyra, the strong female voice they had heard earlier, stepped forward. "We have been fighting the Draconis for centuries. They are ruthless and cunning. We must approach this carefully." Her words hung in the air, and Zarin could feel the tension growing. "What do you suggest?" a human commander asked, crossing his arms. "We can't just wait for them to strike first." Zarin raised his hand for silence. "We need to gather intelligence. I propose sending small scout ships to monitor their movements. If we can find out their plans, we can prepare." The room buzzed with conversation, and some nodded in agreement. "That's a good idea," Lyra said. "But we must ensure our scouts are well protected. The Draconis are likely to have patrols in the area." Zarin felt the pressure build. They had to make a decision soon. What if we send a joint team? Vorthans and humans working together can create a stronger front. Another commander spoke up. "But what if we lose those ships? It would send a message of weakness to the Draconis. We can't afford to show any signs of fear." Zarin glanced around the room. The unease was palpable. "I understand your concerns, but showing fear will only invite attack. We need to act decisively." Lyra nodded. "We can train together. Vorthan ships are fast and agile, while human ships have powerful weapons. We can complement each other." Yara chimed in. "We can also use our technology to our advantage. I can enhance the scout ships with stealth capabilities so they can avoid detection. As discussions continued, Zarin felt a sense of hope. They were starting to unite as a team, yet the tension still lingered. "Let's finalize our plans and prepare for immediate action," he said. "We will conduct training exercises to ensure we know how to work together." The crew began to disperse, but Zarin could see worry in their eyes. He knew they were scared, and rightfully so. The threat of the Draconis was real, and they were entering a dangerous game. As the meeting ended, Lyra approached Zarin. "Captain, I appreciate your leadership, but I worry about our readiness. The Draconis are formidable. We must not underestimate them." Zarin looked at her, understanding her concerns. "I share your worries, Commander, but we will prepare. We are stronger together. If we stand united, we will show the Draconis that we are not afraid." With those words, Zarin felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had awakened the giants and formed an alliance. Now it was time to face the danger ahead. The stars were filled with uncertainty, but one thing was clear. They would fight for their worlds together. As the crew trained and prepared for the upcoming mission, Zarin couldn't shake the feeling of tension in the air. He knew they were on the brink of something big, and the outcome would shape the future of both humans and Vorthons. Together, they would either rise or fall. The stars twinkled above as the stellar seeker glided silently through the dark void of space. Captain Zarin stood at the bridge, watching the screens that displayed the surrounding area. His crew was preparing for their first mission alongside the human fleet, and excitement filled the air. They had trained hard, and now it was time to put their plans into action. "Captain, all systems are ready," Yara reported, her fingers dancing over the controls. "The scout ships are prepped for launch. Commander Lyra's team is ready to go." Zarin nodded, feeling a mix of anticipation and nervousness. "Let's make sure everyone understands their roles. Communication is key. We can't afford any mistakes." As the crew finalized their preparations, Zarin felt a sense of pride in what they had built together. The bond between the Vorthons and humans was growing stronger. They had learned from each other, shared stories, and formed friendships that crossed the boundaries of species. When the scout ships launched, a feeling of unity washed over Zarin. He watched as the ships separated from the stellar seeker, heading into the unknown. The plan was to gather intelligence on the Draconis and return safely. Zarin knew it was a risky mission, but they had trained hard for this. Lyra's voice crackled through the comms. "We are in position and ready to begin the scan. Let's show the Draconis we are not afraid." Her confidence was infectious, and Zarin felt his own spirits lift. As they waited for the scouts to gather information, Zarin took a moment to reflect. He looked around at his crew, humans and Vorthans, working side by side. They had come a long way since awakening the ancient fleet. Now they were not just allies, they were friends. Yara approached Zarin, her eyes bright with excitement. "Captain, I've been thinking, once this mission is over, we should host a celebration. It would be a great way to honor our new friendships and show that we are united." Zarin smiled at her idea. "That sounds wonderful, Yara. Celebrations strengthen bonds. Let's do it!" Hours passed as the scout ships returned, and the bridge was filled with chatter. The tension from earlier began to fade as the team shared stories and jokes. Suddenly, a comms alert broke through the laughter. "Captain, we have incoming data from the scouts!" Yara exclaimed. The room fell silent as everyone turned their attention to the screens. Zarin stepped forward, his heart racing. The images on the screen showed a vast fleet of Draconis ships. "This is worse than we thought. They are mobilizing. We need to prepare for battle." The mood shifted instantly. Fear crept back into the air, but Zarin knew they had to stay strong. "We will fight together. We have trained for this. We must protect our homes and each other." Lyra nodded, her voice firm. "We know the Draconis tactics. We can outsmart them if we work together." The crew sprang into action, each member focusing on their tasks. Zarin felt the familiar rush of adrenaline as he organized the defense plans. They had built trust among one another, and now it was time to put that trust to the test. As the battle loomed, Zarin couldn't help but think about the friendships they had formed. The Vorthans and humans had become like family. They had shared their hopes, fears, and dreams. Each person brought their strengths to the table, and together they were stronger. "Stay close, everyone," Zarin called out as they prepared their ships. "We fight as one. Today, we stand together, not as separate species, but as friends united against a common enemy. The crew responded with cheers, and Zarin felt a surge of hope. The tension in the air was now filled with determination. They were ready to face whatever the Draconis threw at them. As the battle began, the Stellar Seeker surged forward, flanked by human ships. Together, they charged into the fray, determined to protect their worlds. In that moment, Zarin realized that they were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting for the friendships they had built. In the heat of battle, amid the flashing lights and roaring engines, Zarin felt a sense of pride. They had awakened giants and forged bonds that would last a lifetime. Whatever happened next, they would face it together, as true friends.